Racist bank teller humiliates black man in wheelchair. She didn't know who he really was. The moment she sneered at him, whispering under her breath, "You people always beg for favors," she had no idea the cameras were rolling, or that the man she just humiliated had the power to shut down the entire branch within hours. What started as a simple banking errand turned into a nationwide reckoning, and a career-ending lesson she'll never forget. Please support us by subscribe, like and share for more with activating the notification bell. Thank you. It was a bright Monday morning in downtown Atlanta. Inside the grand marble halls of Lexington Federal Bank, customers bustled in and out, most in business attire, neatly groomed, rushing between meetings. In the middle of this flow, the automatic doors slid open to reveal a man in a wheelchair, his strong, weathered hands expertly maneuvering the controls. His name was Mr. Elijah Carter, a 62-year-old black man dressed modestly in a navy jacket, clean khakis, and a veteran's pin on his lapel. His presence was calm, quiet, even dignified. But as soon as he rolled in, the temperature seemed to change. From behind her glass window, Carla Jennings, the lead bank teller, spotted him. Her lips curled subtly, but her eyes said it all: judgment, annoyance, superiority. She whispered something to her coworker, who chuckled nervously. Elijah politely waited in line. When it was finally his turn, he rolled up and greeted her with a respectful, "Good morning, ma'am." Carla looked him up and down, then scoffed, "You here to cash a welfare check or open a savings account you can't fund?" The room fell silent. A mother holding a toddler looked over. A young man in a hoodie took out his phone quietly, beginning to record. Elijah blinked. Calm. Steady. "I'd like to discuss a private matter regarding one of my accounts." She crossed her arms. "You need to make an appointment. People have jobs and real business here. You can't just roll in and ask for special treatment." The word roll wasn't lost on him. The emphasis was sharp, purposeful. But Elijah simply smiled. "Very well. May I speak to the branch manager?" Carla laughed dryly. "I am the acting manager today. And I'm telling you, you need to leave." The other tellers looked on, some frozen, some clearly uncomfortable. Elijah nodded. "Understood. I'll handle this another way." What Carla didn't know was this: Elijah Carter wasn't just some random man in a wheelchair. He was the founder and majority shareholder of Carter Equity Group, a firm with over $800 million in banking assets, most of them stored at Lexington Federal. By mid-afternoon, whispers had already started circling the office. The young man who recorded the exchange posted the video online with a caption: "Racist bank teller humiliates a disabled black man." Wait for the ending. Within hours, it had crossed 30,000 views. By the next morning, it hit 2.3 million. Back at the branch, Carla strutted into work unfazed. She bragged about how she put another freeloader in his place and complained about how entitled people think they can just waltz in and demand things. But things started to change quickly. First, the branch manager, Harold Denton, arrived unexpectedly. He looked pale, carrying a folder under his arm and calling Carla into his office immediately. She rolled her eyes but followed him in. "What's this about?" she asked, tossing her purse on the floor. Harold shut the door and dropped the folder on the desk. "Do you know who you turned away yesterday?" Carla scoffed, "Some guy trying to cash a disability check." Harold slowly turned the folder around. On the top was a news article featuring Elijah Carter shaking hands with the governor. Below it, financial records, massive holdings, including commercial accounts, investments, property portfolios. "Elijah Carter owns over 30% of this bank's regional asset base," Harold said, voice trembling. "You humiliated one of our most important clients." Carla turned red, then pale. He didn't look like someone important." "That's the problem, Carla. You saw his wheelchair. You saw his skin. And you made assumptions." She tried to recover. "I didn't mean it like that. I was just protecting protocol." But it was too late. The fire had already been lit. Across social media, people were tagging Lexington Federal's official accounts. Civil rights attorneys, disability activists, and even celebrities began weighing in. And Elijah. He hadn't said a word. Not yet. Born in Birmingham, Alabama, in the heart of segregation, Elijah Carter had learned resilience the hard way. His mother was a school teacher, His father a steelworker who had marched alongside Martin Luther King Jr. at 17, Elijah joined the military. He served 2 tours overseas and was honorably discharged after an IED explosion took the use of his legs. But what war took away physically, it ignited mentally. Using his veteran benefits, Elijah pursued business at Howard University. After graduating, he began investing in low-income neighborhoods, helping build affordable housing, community centers, and youth programs. By 40, he was already making headlines for transforming urban spaces across Atlanta and Detroit. He founded Carter Equity Group, not just for profit, but for legacy. A legacy rooted in dignity, empowerment, and justice. His work funded scholarships for young Black students. He sponsored STEM programs for kids with disabilities. And quietly, without attention, he had also helped bail out Lexington Federal when it struggled during the 2008 recession, on the condition that the bank opened 3 branches in underserved neighborhoods. And now, that same man had been mocked and dismissed by one of the bank's own employees. 3 days after the incident, Elijah requested a meeting, not with Carla, but with Lexington's entire board of directors. They gathered at the downtown headquarters, anxious and uneasy. Elijah entered quietly, flanked by his longtime assistant and legal counsel. His presence was magnetic, his tone calm but firm. He played the video. He showed them the hate mail he'd received after the clip went viral. He showed them photos of wheelchair ramps at their branches that violated federal accessibility laws. And then, he laid out his demand: immediate termination of Carla Jennings, followed by mandatory inclusion training for all employees. "I'm not here for revenge," Elijah said. "I'm here to ensure this never happens again. To anyone." The board voted unanimously. That afternoon, Carla was called into the HR office. Cameras from local news stations were already outside. She tried to cry. She tried to apologize. But the damage was done. As she packed her things, she saw a notification on her phone. Her face was now a trending meme, captioned, "When you think you're better than someone, and they own the bank." But the biggest moment came when Elijah returned to the branch. He rolled into the lobby, this time greeted by the entire staff, who stood and applauded. A new teller, young, Black, and disabled, was behind the counter, hired just the day before. And at the entrance, a new plaque: "This branch is dedicated to Elijah Carter, whose strength reminds us of the power of dignity." Today, Elijah Carter's story is taught in business ethics classes around the country. But more than that, it started a movement inside the banking industry. Lexington Federal launched a new program called our ISE, Respect, Inclusion, Support, Equity, training employees nationwide on how to treat every customer with empathy and care. Carla. She disappeared from the industry, but not from the lesson. She wrote a public apology. It went viral, but not for redemption. Most people saw it as too little, too late. Elijah. He kept working, quietly as always. Building homes. Mentoring youth. And yes, visiting his bank branch, still in his wheelchair, still kind, still powerful. Because the truth is, real power doesn't shout. It doesn't wear designer suits or walk with a swagger. Real power rolls in quietly, speaks with grace, and leaves the world a little better than it found it. If this story moved you, share it. Let the world remember that kindness is not a weakness, and dignity is not defined by appearances. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories that remind us all of what truly matters.